People are making a big deal about Georgia not having a lot of sacks this season, and yes, getting to the quarterback, causing tackles for loss. That's really important. But Kirby Smart would argue that that's kind of an overrated stat, something he's talked about a lot because he's been asked a lot about it over the course of this season. And the reason he's being asked about it is because of how many times they got to the quarterback last year. I mean, think about the Clemson game. 7, 8 sacks, right? When they played DJU and got to him. So Georgia doesn't, they don't even have that many sacks this season if you add it up. Pop has 2, half a sack from Lassiter, 3 from Nolan Smith, that's the leader on the team, 1 from Michael Williams, the freshman, half a sack from Robert Beal, who led the team in sacks a year ago when he had a couple there at the end of the year to put him over the edge. They're just not getting as many sacks. But there's an explanation to it. For at least a little bit of it that I found to be really interesting. Something that Kirby Smart and Nolan Smith talked about earlier this week on Tuesday. Matt has a story about it on the site, dawgpost.com. So make sure you're going and checking that out. Links are down below for DAWGSTRUCTION. Links are down below for DoorDash. Make sure you're using our code DAWG. Make sure you're using that if you want your discount. And we will be at Paloma the Friday night before Tennessee. From, I believe, 5 to 8. We'll also be streaming that here on YouTube if you can't make it out. But come hang out with us. It's a cool spot. It's going to be a huge weekend in Athens. This could be a top 3 matchup. I hope to see you there. Ryan Coach from DawgPost talking about Georgia's quarterback pressures. I want to read what Kirby said on Tuesday if you missed it, because I found it to be really interesting. He did admit they need to get more pressure, but it's not something that they haven't done a good job of. Quarterbacks are getting the ball out a lot quicker, apparently. This is what he said. We've played teams that have gotten rid of the ball really, really quick. The Auburn game was the only one that was over 3 seconds per pass, and I think that factors in the scrambles where he would run around with the ball and throw it away. He, meaning Robbie Ashford, who did scramble arguably well against Georgia, one of the faster quarterbacks that they've definitely played in the last few years, and you could see that when they came to Athens. But when he's saying 3 seconds, he's talking about from the snap to the throw, when the quarterback's getting the ball and getting it out of their hands. So 3 seconds was considered a long time this year, because he goes later on to say, so there hasn't been a lot of opportunities, but that doesn't mean that we can't do a better job. We've studied that really hard in terms of just looking at ourselves, and we're telling the team, hey, it's 2.6 seconds that you have to get there by. Quarterbacks are getting the ball out in 2.5 seconds before. So think about Nolan Smith, who's he is not only your vocal leader on the entire team, but the leader of this defense, the leading pass rusher. And so if Nolan Smith is your best pass rusher, Nolan Smith has 2.5 seconds from the moment the ball snapped to shed a block or to bull rush somebody and get to the quarterback, take him down. That is a very short amount of time. You're almost teleporting to the quarterback if that's the case. And that's part of why Georgia's not getting a lot of sacks this year, is because the QBs are getting the ball out so fast. Hey, it's 2.6 seconds you have to get there by, so you have to get there in 2.5 seconds, or you have to affect the throw. And we've had several really good rushes where we affected throws in terms of bull, batting balls, and things like that. When you watch what Georgia's defense did last year, you start comparing. We do it on here on this channel too, and we probably shouldn't as much as we do. You start comparing, this is what they did last year. Why can't they do it again? Well, it's a completely different defense. The personnel is not the same. 5 of the guys were on the first round, and I believe there was 8 in total on this defense that were drafted. So it's a different group of people, and people are adjusting to what they did. Last year, what Georgia did was they had a front 7 that strangled you, all right, because they had a bunch of NFL talent in that front 7. They were just better than the people they were playing. Strangled is the word I want to use, because that's what they did. They had a few shutouts. They essentially shut out Clemson with the 3-point, with just having 3 points, just having a field goal. They made DJU look like a JV high school quarterback, all right? And he's solid. He's having a better year this year. But Bryce Young had pressure on him in the national championship. They got pressure against Michigan. This is something that you saw all year. So the pressure is coming in a different form. 1, because you have different personnel. 2, because they've been adjusted to. And so, you don't have Nakobe Dean flying back there now. Jamon Dumas-Johnson, I don't think he's gotten enough credit for doing almost exactly what Nakobe Dean did last year in terms of just affecting all sorts of parts of the game. Getting to the football, he flies around to the ball both in the passing game and the running game. I mean, he's had a couple dropped interceptions. He should have a few interceptions. Jamon Dumas-Johnson just hasn't hauled them in. We know that Nakobe Dean was a ball hawk for a linebacker. We saw that he was fast. Jamon Dumas-Johnson does a lot of things that Nakobe Dean did, but they're giving up less than 10. They're giving up about 10 points a game. They just goose-egged. Vanderbilt. 10 points against Auburn. One huge touchdown that was missed assignments. The Kent State game, their touchdown was a missed assignment. The Missouri game, same exact thing. A wide open dude. It's just those plays didn't happen last year. Those big pop plays didn't really happen against Georgia last year, and so I hate playing the if game because you shouldn't. But if you take those away, I mean, this defense is doing very, very, very similar things, and they are already doing similar things. They're hounding their opponents. So the sack conversation, it was interesting to me because no, I'm not some football genius, and I'm not Kirby Smart, and he would be the first to tell you that I'm not a football genius. But it was interesting to learn about that this week because it's something it's not the first time that was brought up this season. I believe it was after the Samford game is when people were asking him, oh, well, how come you guys aren't getting the quarterback? The first sack of the game, they didn't get a sack against Oregon. Well, bro, you're asking them to get there in 2.5 seconds. And the other thing is, you're asking them to chase after people like Bo Nix and Robbie Ashford. All right? They didn't. And Bryce Young, they played Bryce Young twice last year. Bryce Young he is a way, 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 way better quarterback than Bo Nix and Robbie Ashford, but he's not even nearly as fast as them. So, and even like J.J. McCarthy in the Michigan game, that dude was quick. I think that they played some quick guys this year, and that's tough to deal with. And those are, two games that are a little bit of an outlier, but those add to why they're not getting sack numbers, because those guys get positive net yards sometimes when they're running, and even if they hold on to the ball for over that 2.6 second mark, that's been that average, that's been that super fast. What Kirby said, that it's never been that fast before. You got to deal with these athletes that are getting outside the pocket, so quarterback contain, quarterback pressures affecting the pass are the keys. But Kirby does admit they need to get to the quarterback more. But at this point, that's kind of a tall task to ask of your players. Oh, well, you have 2.5 seconds to get there on average. It's not that every single play. It's going to be more or less depending. But something that was really interesting to me that I wanted to share. Matt goes in deeper on the site, dogpost.com. Make sure you're clicking that link down below. DAWGSTRUCTION is down below. I'm putting DoorDash down below as well. We'll see you there.